This former Navy SEAL saw war up close, and now he's warning us.
I'm to the point now where I don't think I fought for the country. I fought for some politician's view on something.
As calls for foreign intervention grow louder in D.C., Rob O'Neill is choosing a different path. He also appeared on Tucker Carlson's show, openly criticizing America's obsession with regime change.
Taking down Baghdad, it's like, what are you going to do next? Well, they'll rise up and then they'll start their own government. And we were saying, well, what if they don't? Well, they will, but they might not. What if they don't? Yeah, but they will. No, they won't. And then they didn't, and it's chaos.
That's why today we're covering a topic most would rather ignore, because we're not here to follow parties blindly. We're here to push common sense. So, if you're an independent thinker, hit that subscribe button and let's jump right into it.
I'm to the point now where I don't think I fought for the country. I fought for some politician's view on something.
I've heard a lot of military guys say that. They feel like part of the depression problem with military guys is they feel like they didn't fight for what they thought they were.
What I need to tell the veterans too is like, look, you get to a point when you go through a door in Fallujah that you're not fighting for George Bush or his dad. Mm-hmm. You're fighting for the guy behind you or the woman behind you or in front of you. That's what I fight for.
Is there a feeling, though, of like we shouldn't be here in the first place?
Iraq, it wasn't at first. I was 27 years old when we invaded Iraq, and all I wanted to...
It was right after 9/11.
I would have invaded Canada at that point. But now that you think about it, there are points now that there are particular guys that I think of that I killed. And I remember one dude in particular that I killed I shot his buddy. And then I came through his room. I killed him in front of his wife in a bedroom because he went for a gun. And I think about him now, and it's like, all right, why did I kill that guy? Well, because he went for a gun. Okay, but why did he go for a gun? Well, because I was in his room at 2 a.m. Well, why was I in his room at 2 a.m? Well, because George Bush was pissed that Saddam Hussein allegedly wanted to kill his dad, so we invaded. So now here I am because of a political... And then I start to think, what was this guy funny? What if I met him in Paris over a coffee? Would we have actually liked each other and I just kill him because a politician sent us here for weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist?
For those of you who don't know who Rob O'Neill is, I could best describe him with one sentence. He's reportedly the last man bin Laden saw. And let's just say it wasn't a social call. He's also been a leader of SEAL Team 6, which is why I think his thoughts should matter the most. With 12 deployments under his belt, the guy has seen war up close more than most of the politicians constantly calling for it. That's why when he speaks, it's worth paying attention. Recently, he sat down with Tucker Carlson and opened up about his experience. While the interview covered a lot, one part stood out. His reaction to the fact that even after everything we've been through, there are still politicians in Washington pushing for more wars.
So given everything you've just told us for the last 2 hours, how do you feel when you're driving in your car or looking at your phone and you see some political figure saying, hey, let's have a war with country X?
Well, a good indicator is if anyone's referred to as a war hawk, they've never been to war. And they just love the idea of the military-industrial complex. They're going to get paid. Their friends are going to get paid. They have no skin in the game. And they've never been up close when, getting bombed in a house you're in has got to be the worst thing ever, buried alive in that heat. And they just love doing that because, we'll get a contract to build more bombs. And just the threat of, as long as I've been alive, there's either been war or a threat of war.
Yes.
And if you keep people afraid, we'll slowly give up our liberty. The Patriot Act sounded great on 9/12, but a week later, it's like, wait, what are you watching? Why are you watching us now?
Did you guys ever talk about that?
No, because it was red, white, and blue and apple pie. Like, we're Americans and we're the good guys.
When you were in the service, like the whole time, you never...
No, I didn't question Iraq. It's like, I wanted to go. Like, let's get me in there before this ends.
There's a term for those who beat the war drums without ever stepping onto the battlefield. Chicken hawks. It's reserved for the Cheneys and the John Boltons of the world. The loudest voices for war, yet the farthest from its consequences. Think about it. Back in the day, kings and nobles led their armies into battle. If you wanted war, you had to face the blade yourself. Nowadays, we've got politicians in suits, air-conditioned offices, and comfy studios pushing for military action like it's some video game. They don't lose sleep over the names on headstones or the broken families left behind. They lose sleep over polling numbers. They won't hold a rifle, but they'll hold press briefings about why sending someone else's kid overseas is necessary for freedom. Rob expanded on this point, and his argument pinpoints the exact reason why interventionism is always doomed to fail.
Why do you think we went into Iraq? where you almost got killed?
Yeah. I think because Saddam Hussein said he was going to assassinate George H.W. Bush. And George W. Bush, loves his dad and never let that go.
Yep.
And I had friends that were flag officers in the Pentagon a week after 9/11, and they were already planning the invasion of Iraq. And some of these officers were like, why? What are you talking about? They had nothing to do with this. Why are we going to invade Iraq? And we shifted all of our assets to Iraq instead of Afghanistan. When we should have been fighting Al Qaeda here, find bin Laden, kill him, and then hopefully that's it. But now we're in Iraq, bogged down. No, and I mean, even taking down Baghdad, it's like, what are you going to do next? Well, they'll rise up and then they'll start their own government. And we were saying, well, what if they don't? Well, they will, but they might not. What if they don't? Yeah, but they will. No, they won't. And then they didn't, and it's chaos.
Oh, they didn't?
No. They're in there robbing the museums. But I mean, it's almost one of those things too, like the devil you know is better than the devil you don't.
Yes.
These people have been under a dictator, and maybe they need a softer dictator because they're not ready for democracy.
Obviously.
And even in Afghanistan, you think the people in the Shuriak Valley want our style of democracy? I've talked to farmers. I've eaten rice out of the same bowls these guys, and had a probably Taliban guy saying, why would I send my son to school when I can teach him how to farm? He doesn't need to sit in a school. Why would you build this one? We don't want that.
Exactly. Here's an interesting statistic that flew under the radar for many. An economist and a YouGov survey from mid-June found that only 16% of 18 to 29-year-olds supported U.S. involvement in the Israeli-Iran conflict, with 53% opposed and 31% unsure. And when it comes to exclusively men, they found that only 19% support U.S. action. That tells you something big. After decades of endless wars and failed spreading freedom campaigns, people are waking up. They're realizing regime change doesn't stick unless it's driven by the people living under those regimes. You can't force democracy with bombs. Just look at Europe's own history. Most of it lived under absolute monarchies for centuries. No one had the democratic values. They had to build it from within.
We forgot about WMD but a couple of months into it. And then it turns into a surge, and it turns into, well, we got to kill ISIS, and we got to kill Zarqawi. Well, we got to kill, it's Hussein, Uday, and Qusay, and then it's Zarqawi, and then it's ISIS, and then it's Baghdadi, and then you got Qasem Soleimani from Iran, and then you got the Iranian influence everywhere in Afghanistan. They're all in Pakistan. Al Qaeda's working with Iran. The Sunni and the Shia are all together. It's like it's a mess. But this whole nation building, we've proven. I mean, it didn't work in Vietnam. We're still in a conflict with Korea. What happened in Grenada? What happened in Panama? What did we do in the first Gulf War, second Gulf War? Afghanistan, we got bin Laden, but he was in Pakistan. We don't do any research. We don't know the history of places. We just think, we'll go over there, and they love US. I'd love to break it to a lot of the politicians. Most people don't like the United States, and especially in that part of the world.
Wait, there was no research done?
No, there were officers that thought Iraq and Afghanistan were the same. They didn't.
Officers thought that?
Oh, yeah. What's the difference? We're going to one or the other.
This is what it all comes down to. Sure, the Pentagon has analysts running endless risk assessments and game theory models for every move, but even the best planning falls short. Simply put, we've been getting ourselves involved in regions with centuries of complex history, culture, conflict. That's why pretending we can predict the outcome has already proven disastrous. Just look at Iraq and Afghanistan. I'd love to know your thoughts here. So let's get the conversation rolling in the comments down below. And if you want your friends to get their coverage from an independent source like us, share this video with them. That's how we can grow and bring you more of our brutally honest content. Keep thinking.